You say, I had English class, but we need more vocabulary. Fantastic. Tell you what I will do for you since you're here, this won't take long at all, and it's the point of me being online tonight. Let's just take these few words here, and I'll review these with you now that you're around. I already talked about them. You could rewatch the video later, but let me just help you with the pronunciation of these. These two words, they are different words. The spelling is the exact same. We have the word content and the word content. The stress is different. Syllable stress in English is one of the more difficult things to learn because it's nuanced. It's something that you can't always guess just by looking at the word. Again, these words look the exact same, do they not? The first word, stress the first syllable, content. Content. Content, things that are held or included in something. So we have content creators online. It's what I'm doing right now, creating content. I don't create a huge amount of content like other content creators, but I hope to create more here on Twitch doing these little lessons on Sunday evenings, as I am right now. But the first word, content, the second word is content. Content. Do you hear that? The emphasis, the stress is on the second syllable, tent, content, which is a state of peace or happiness. If you're content with your life, you're happy with your life. You don't want any changes. You don't need any changes. Yes, we had a phonetic class, and this is so amazing. I understand all because you speak very well and slow. Fantastic. And I will point you at, you can't see the bottom of my slide here. When you see the bottom of my video frame, it's covering our logo, but I'm working with someone who teaches on Instagram too, and his Instagram is English at the Ready. And feel free to check him out, give him a follow. He has a ton of good content. My content is a weekly wrap-up of the lessons that we teach throughout the week that I want to do as a broadcast here on Twitch. Again, kind of low-tech tonight. I can do a lot more, but I want to see how this goes this evening and see what changes I want to make next week when I do this again. Content. Content is happy. Fantastic, my friend. Fantastic. I can, look, share your real name if you want to, but I can call you F44 all day long. But again, content is what I'm creating right now. To be content, it's a state of peace or happiness when you're just happy with the way things are. I got married to my wife. We have 3 children. We live in the Washington, D.C. area here in the United States. And I'm pretty content with my life. Pretty content. I appreciate that follow, man. Absolutely. All right. Oops. You know what? I need to click right here. Didn't I use the words viral versus trending? I had an interview for a job and forgot all English. The interview was for Amazon. Oh no! So we would say you choked. I'll put the word in here. Choked. I'll put it in chat. You choked. To choke, you know, is when you eat an apple and you can't breathe anymore. When you choke in an interview, it's the worst feeling ever. Especially when it's for a big company like Amazon and it's in your second or third language. I understand. A veces yo puedo hablar español. Sometimes, or castellano, right? Sometimes I can speak Spanish. I don't practice it as much as I should, but I understand because I've also interviewed for jobs in Spanish. It's scary. It's absolutely scary. My Chinese is okay too, but I would say it's worse than my Spanish. And it's very, very sure. I mean, absolutely. I'm totally open for a little Spanish practice. Yeah, I don't even want to say my Spanish is great. It was close to fluent 10 years ago, but it's been 10 years and I lived in China for a while. Have you done any lessons on interview vocabulary? Yes, we have done some. And again, in the future, and fuck you if you want. That's funny saying fuck you. You know what that is in English. You know exactly what that is, I'm sure. But in the future, fuck you, we can do a few interview-based lessons maybe next Sunday around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my goal, is to start doing this 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and just talk to people. Ja, 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 ha, 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 ha. I love seeing that in Spanish. Ha, ha, ha. Yes, my name is difficult in English. Do you mind sharing it? I'm curious what it is now. What is it in English? Well, what is it in Castellano? Here it's 18 a.m. Yep. 018. Okay. So that's, yeah, 2 hours ahead. You're 2 hours ahead in Argentina. My students are all over the world. With English at the Ready, we have 120 students right now. And then through other platforms, I still have about 22 students that I'm teaching throughout the week. I see Lizzie Lou also said, I feel like I've heard you talk about it to some students. We've definitely talked about interview vocabulary before. And I mean, I could pull up a lesson right now and talk about it. But before I do that, I want to discuss what I'm doing tonight with my boss. He's my partner at English at the Ready. And just make sure he's happy with the way this is going. And I think he's going to like it, though. I think it's a great catch pull. And hopefully a lot of my students in the future will come in and we'll have a great, robust, busy chat. This is something, fuck you and Lizzie Lou, that rhymes. Fuck you and Lizzie Lou. Fuck you and Lizzie Lou. I can't say that again. I'm going to start laughing too hard. Is it true that Spanish is more difficult than English? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I don't think so. Because Spanish at least follows its Latinate origin, right? Spanish is taken from the Latin language. And it follows a more straightforward language pattern. The rules are a little bit more standard. Until you get to Mexican Spanish. Mexican Spanish, they do all kinds of things. And then Catalan language, forget about it. Iberian too. People from Iberia and Spain. Iberian Spanish is also extremely hard to understand. My second name is Raymond, but I don't like it. Raimundo in Spanish. Raimundo sounds better than Raymond. There was a show when I was growing up called Everybody Loves Raymond. Have you heard of that one? Everybody Loves Raymond, with the actor Frankie Muniz. I think it was Muniz. I don't think it was Munez. Whatever. But anyway, Raymond, nice to meet you. Pleasure to know you. What is your first name, though? Now, I'm really curious because you're dancing around that name, and I want to know what it is. Again, if you don't want to share it, you don't have to share it. Again, fuck you, Raymond, which sounds awful. I shouldn't say that, but I want to say it because it's funny. It makes me laugh. What was I talking about over here on this? Viral versus trending. Viral versus trending. Viral. Viral is an adjective that describes content like videos and photos that spread rapidly across the internet. Think about a virus, COVID-19. COVID-19 is something we all know. It came along, what, 2021? Yeah, how long ago was that? 3 years ago? And it was something that if you don't know what COVID-19 is, you were living under a rock. Facundo, there we go. Now I feel better about saying Facu. I'm going to say Facu44 because you know what that sounds like in English, right? I don't have to say this. Facu, yeah, you get it. You've got to get it. I'll tell you a quick story about a similar word in Castellano, right? My teacher in Buenos Aires, I came into class one day and she was collecting homework and I was trying to be nice and use the Latin word. I just made a guess. A lot of times the Latin word is very similar to the Spanish word, just with an extra ending added on. So, cogere, in Latin, cogere, to collect, right? Coger. So I said, I used command and said, coge la tarea, collect the homework. And she looked at me and said, excuse me? And yeah, so I basically said, F the homework, right? Oops, I learned something that day. So anyway, that's my Facu story. That show was great, but Frankie Muniz, thank you, Muniz. is in Malcolm and the... Oh, who was the dude? Who was the dude? I thought it was Frankie. No, Raymond. It's right. It's Ray. Ray. What was his name? Ray. What's his last name? Lizzie, you know. I know you know. Ray. Romano. Yeah, thank you. Ray Romano. That's the one. Viral. We use on social media. Trending. Example. Trending. Fantastic. That's Haku. That's exactly it. That's 100% it. Viral is a video that a lot of people see, and the platform's algorithm, like Instagram's algorithm, not so much Twitch's algorithm, because in general, it sucks. Discoverability is bad on Twitch. Everyone says, start on YouTube, start on Instagram, and bring people to Twitch. I'm kind of doing this backwards, but I don't care. We'll do it anyway. We'll get there. But anyway, a viral video, a viral post, a viral image, a viral, what else? A viral blog, any of these things, it would be one video, one image, one post, one blog that the algorithm has seen is getting attention, and then it begins spreading it to lots and lots of people. It shows up on your For You page. We can use viral on viral virus. Yes, a viral outbreak. That's where I was going with the COVID-19 story. COVID-19, everybody knows about it. COVID-19 was a viral outbreak, right? It was viral. That's how it works in, say, medical vocabulary or in global health vocabulary. Viral videos, same idea. It spreads to a lot of people very quickly. Many people see it, and then it kind of goes away, usually, like the Island Boys, thank God. I don't know if you know about the Island Boys. If you don't know about them, don't even bother with them. But the Island Boys were trending, not trending. They went viral. They went viral on TikTok a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And they sang the song, I'm an Island Boy. Is that copyrighted? I don't know. I don't even want to sing it. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Again, at English at the Ready, this is what we say all the time. Our format is just like this. I'm honestly, Faku, not trying to sell you the club. I know it sounds like that. I'm just saying, making sure I link it to this, because I haven't talked to my boss about doing the broadcast here yet, but I don't think he's going to mind very much. We'll see. We'll see what he says. But that's the thing. This style of teaching works very, very well. And I mean, more people should do it. But I don't want more people to do it. I want me to do it. Myself and Michael Anton with English at the Ready. Anyway, the word trending has to do with topics, and they're usually topics people are searching for. There are many videos, many posts, many blogs, many different writings online that people are searching for. So it's a trending topic. I'm 31 years old, but I like to get 100%. See, I'm 41 years old. I've got you by 10 years, right? But today is my 41st birthday, believe it or not. Most people will say, baby face, and they believe I'm like 29. I'm 41 years old. Yeah. So, but no, working professionals, it's hard to return to study English. Do you go back to university? No, probably not. It's too expensive, and who has the time for that? I think this is where the online environment's so good for this. Hey, happy birthday! Happy birthday, teacher. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. And Lizzie Lou, thank you. Oh yeah, I've got a couple of commands up that you can use. I haven't set all these up, but I think command info gives you my English content tag. Yeah, there we go. Bam! That's like my mini resume right there, basically. I have taught like 35,000 online classes. 35,000, guys. That's a lot. And that's where this teaching style comes from. It's something that's practiced, and I've just done since 2010, and I know it works. Again, I'm amazing. Thank you. I mean, I'm okay. I'm all right. But I appreciate that. I really do. I hope you continue to come back, and that gives me such strong motivation. One person in here, Faku, saying that I need to do this. He's the best English teacher. Thank you. 2 people. All I need is one person to give me a reason to do this on Sunday nights, because hopefully you can tell I simply love doing it. It's something I absolutely love doing. But yeah, trending topics and viral media source, viral singular media, viral video, viral posts, so on. You've got it though. Let's scoot on. I do actually to finish this sometime tonight, but we'll see. I'm not going to be in a hurry with it. Again, conscious versus conscience. These were two words that students confused a lot this week. Conscious. Conscious is an adjective. It means you're aware or responding to one's surroundings. You can be conscious by just knowing what's going on around you. If you're watching people and paying attention to what's happening, conscience is kind of mental. It has to do with your mindset and where your mind is. If your mind is here and now, if your mind is present, then you're conscient. You're conscious of what's happening. You're awake. You can be unconscious. That's the opposite. The antonym is unconscious. There you go. I'll just keep up with these in chat. We'll do something else maybe later where I have a lower third or put them on a list on the bottom of the screen. We'll see. Tonight, that's just too much work for one night. Setting this up and doing this was enough work for this evening. But if you're unconscious, you're not aware, you're not awake, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, conscious. The second word here, it looks like you would pronounce it conscience. 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 I've always remembered since I was a little boy, sometime in elementary school, spell the word conscience, but say conscience. I was pretty good at the spelling bee when I was in elementary school, and I had lots of mnemonics, and I use these a lot in classes. I still remember so many of these. Again, I'm 41 years old, and I've never, that's how you remember it too, Lizzie? The great minds think alike. But these words I've never forgotten because I use mnemonics. I'll put that word here too. I know it's a challenging word. Mnemonics. These are language tricks or memorization tricks that you use to remember information. You can remember something silly like conscience. Oh, conscience. Or you can think and make a word cloud and say, okay, conscience is related to awake. It's related to awareness. We'll do some word clouding in the future. I have some software where I can build a word cloud while doing a lesson like this online. It'll be fantastic. It's called Menti. Menti is amazing for live broadcasts like this. We'll 100% use it maybe the next broadcast. It should not be difficult to set up. But word clouding, building clouds of linked words, fantastic. Conscious is know about the world. You could say, I am conscious of the world. I am conscious of world cultures. I'm conscious of culture. It means you know or have an awareness of the world or awareness of the culture. You could say that, yes. You could relate it that way. The word conscience is a noun. It's a thing, an inner feeling or voice viewed as acting as a guide to the rightness or wrongness of one's behavior. I always remember in cartoons, Looney Tunes cartoons, I think some Mickey Mouse cartoons too. There's a little angel that appears on the shoulder, a little devil that appears on the other shoulder. The angel says, hey, Jacob, hey, teacher, do good things today. The little devil says, no, pendejo, do bad things. Bad things are more fun. And my little devil, he's always been Mexican, so excuse me for that. I'm not shy about that at all. Hey, pendejo, ese, do this today. And he, of course, has a big curly mustache and wears a little sombrero hat. Total cultural appropriation. Probably not something I should do, but, or even, talk about. It's not politically correct, but it makes it more interesting. Looney Tunes, yeah, see, exactly. Everybody knows about this. But that's what I always think about with conscience. Little angel, little devil is the inner feeling or voice that tells you to do right things, do wrong things. Speedy Gonzalez, I love, yeah, you could say. There was another mouse. I don't know his name, but Speedy Gonzalez sometimes had a friend that his English wasn't very good. I don't remember this mouse's name, but he was in some of the episodes with Speedy. And this guy is almost exactly what that little devil looks like on my shoulder. Pendejo. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Again, we're on Twitch. It's not completely PG. It's mostly PG. Mostly PG. Pendejo is one of the first Spanish words I learned working in restaurants here in the US. You know, my coworkers, a lot of times, we always had somebody from Mexico working, bussing tables, you know, cleaning, doing something. And they would always say, like, pinche pendejo. And it was definitely one of the first bad words I learned and heard it used regularly. Haha, I haven't thought about Speedy Gonzales in forever. Old cartoons are great. Yeah, old cartoons. I'll tell you what, the old cartoons and the way they used to write them were not always politically correct, but they were pretty good for learning things, learning new language, learning words. There are some cartoons nowadays I'll watch before I travel to Argentina, before I travel to China. I'll watch kids' cartoons. I know it sounds crazy. You're 41, you watch kids' cartoons, but no. They use language that's easy to understand. They speak relatively clearly, most of them, not all of them. Some of them are just stupid, but most of them that are made for kids to learn are really useful for practicing your vocabulary, basic vocabulary, and working on your basic oral, your listening English. I think it's good. All right, let's go on to this last slide I was talking about before Faku came in. And again, Faku, I don't mind going back through all of that for you. Not a problem at all. And again, if you have any other questions, no problem. How do you study phonetic in Spanish? Only hear that? Mostly. I do use the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet. This is something that is used a lot in China. I lived 2.5 years in China. I taught English in person at quite a few Chinese schools and to a lot of students in person in China. They use it a lot because Chinese pronunciation of their characters, their words, is different than the Arabic that we use. Like the script is different. We use Arabic script. Our 26 letter alphabet, you know, is very different than the Chinese 20,000 character alphabet. So the IPA is okay. I don't think it's practical, though. A lot of people want to know about it. They want to learn it. I wrote a lesson on it this weekend for English at the Ready, and it was a beast, if you know what I mean. It was something that was very difficult to write because it's hard for a 50-minute class or 1-hour class to make the IPA make sense to people. It has a lot of weird sounds. Here you study English phonetic in special class with another books and people. I'm curious if you recall the book series or what they were called, put it in chat because I'd love to check it out and see what you use in Argentina. I'm not entirely sure what you use as your standard phonetic book for practice. Again, in China, I know what they use, and it's again a beast. They learn English in a lot of ways like we learn math, right? English is like a math problem. You get a formula and you put it together, which makes it really difficult to take tests like the IELTS or the TOEFL test, because they want more nuanced, natural, native type speaking for your English. And using formulas, if you're an examiner for the IELTS or the TOEFL, you know what to look for, the certain patterns that are just very well taught as formulas. And people will say, oh, like what one of them that's so common in China. I say, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? You know, you can answer that probably 1,000 different ways. But Chinese students would always say, I'm fine, thank you. And you? Just like that. They do the head bob. I'm fine, thank you. And you? Because this is what they learned about the intonation. Chinese has 4 tones. I don't do them well. You know, it's like saying the word sugar, tong, 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 tong. Oh, I'm doing it wrong already. Tong. Yeah. Tong, 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 tong. It's very difficult to do. It's so hard to learn. But oh, New Headway is the book you use. Okay, New Headway. Let me just copy that over, and I want to check that out later so I know a little more about it. I've been curious what the standard is in Argentina, and I just keep forgetting to look it up. But I'm fine, thank you. And you? Their native language mixes with the language they're learning and does not sound native at all. And if you ask the same, if you have a different English speaking person, ask the same Chinese student, Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you? Another one, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And you? It's the same each time, like a math formula. And it's a difficult habit to break when you learn English, especially as a formula, because we break our formulas and break our rules all the time. And I search my old books and I talk to you after. Please do. Like I said, I'll definitely be back next weekend at the same time, Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. You have my word. I promise I'll start at 8:30 next week. We use short answer because we don't remember more words. Makes sense. That makes sense. And short answer engages a little bit more of the language. You have to use right grammar, make right word choices, and then also short answer has multiple sentences and they all have to flow together well. So, I mean, that makes sense. I do recommend for memorizing vocabulary, word clouds, thinking of one word and then thinking of a related word. Usually I do one word in the middle, and then my cloud begins with four words that are related. And then for each of those words, I do three words that are related. Each of those words, I do two words that are related to each one. And then finally, I do one word related to each of those in the outside of the cloud. And it's a great memory exercise to practice vocabulary in any language. Spanish works, or it works in Spanish. It works in Chinese too. But in Spanish, we use hi, how are you, fine, and you, how is your day, and continue the sentence. Yeah, in English, how are you operates as a hello. If you walk by someone on the street, how are you? We'll say, how are you? And keep walking. It's not even, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? We're very quick when we say, how are you? And keep moving. It's a greeting in its own right. And that's something a lot of my students have asked about and have some trouble with. They say, what do we do when an English speaker says, how are you? As I walk by them in the shopping mall or on the street or somewhere else. Well, we just say, how are you back? Or hi. You can say hi, hello, any of these, and just keep moving. If you stop and say, hi, I'm fine, how are you? They'll look at you like, whoa, because it's culturally strange to do that. Let me continue with these, but Faku, keep asking whatever questions you have in the chat. I don't mind answering anything that's on your mind. What are the benefits and challenges of the digital nomad lifestyle? This is my top question and the answers of the week. Do you think you could have this type of lifestyle? I was surprised with what my students said in this section of class. They all reference the internet connection. Like, this is a challenge of working as a digital nomad. And a digital nomad is someone who travels around to many places and lives in different places all the time. They don't have one home that they return to. They move, maybe every 6 months, every year, maybe even more often. A digital nomad, they work online, do the same job, but they move their home year after year, month after month, every 6 months, however often they want to. This lifestyle doesn't suit everybody, but when I was working in Argentina, when I was working in China, I loved it in my early 30s. So Faku, when I was your age, I was out working as a digital nomad, teaching English online, and my internet connection was always my biggest problem. I had to call hotels or hostels and say, hey, guys, how's your internet here? How's your connection? Is it pretty good? Usually they wouldn't know, or they would say, oh, it's great. And I would always tell them that I need my room to be next to the router, next to the place where the internet signal comes from, so I can make sure that I have as good of a signal as possible. If they couldn't put me in the room next to or very near the router, I would have to choose some other place. I couldn't stay there. When you came in, Faku, I was talking about the Chinese students that I had, the children I was teaching, their parents, if they were watching and they saw my connection be unstable, they would always complain. And we had a 5-star rating system. Most of my 1-star ratings, I only had a few because overall, I had out of 24,750 classes that I taught on that platform, I had a 5-star rating, right? And I had, I think, 6 1-star-ish. No, I had 3 1-star and 3 3-star or below ratings. That's how they quantify them. But it was so stupid. Anyway, my connection was bad just a few times, or I'm sitting in a hotel hallway underneath the router that's on the ceiling, just so I can teach this class and the parent not get pissed off with me. Because the parents, they wanted perfection for their children. It was a television show, not an English class, right? I liked teaching the kids. The kids were great, but the parents were often the worst part of that job. The worst part of it. Yes, we need excellent internet connection. Here is cloudy. Yeah, in Mendoza, I know it comes and goes a little bit. Basically in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, most places in the city, it's pretty good. And then when you follow the main highways outside of Buenos Aires, you can follow the internet signal along the highways. It travels along the highways. It's relayed across, or it's relayed along the highways to the other cities. But as you get to the smaller cities, and Mendoza's not tiny by any means, as you get to the smaller cities, and let's talk about Ushuaia, internet in Ushuaia, it's Tierra del Fuego internet. Good luck. It's okay sometimes. Sometimes. You're better off having Elon Musk's Starlink or having cellular internet, not even trying internet in a hostel or hotel. Not even. You say, I here in Washington, D.C., we live near a lot of the nation's most important internet servers. So we have some of the fastest and best internet in this area. So we're very stable. We're very lucky for it. In the pandemic, we had more problems with Zoom classes. Yeah, Zoom went through a lot of expansion during the pandemic. And Zoom had some server issues, as I know of, during the pandemic. Zoom worked great, but the number of people using it increased a lot in a short amount of time. And that was a bit of an issue for Zoom as a company, and again, as their servers. I live in south of Mendoza, and we had more mountain. Yeah. Okay, so internet signal around mountains is pretty dicey, is a word we use. Dicey means it's inconsistent. It's dicey, it's kind of choppy. Dicey, I'll put choppy. You know, choppy is like you chop vegetables, you chop something in small pieces. It's choppy. Elon arrived here, but we need, yeah, it's expensive, isn't it? I was hoping in Argentina that Starlink would be a little bit cheaper than in the US, but it's really not. It's quite expensive everywhere, really. But fingers crossed that one day it becomes cheaper. We'll see. I mean, again, I hope so. It's a great idea, but if you can't use it, then what's the point? Use more new words now. It's very interesting. I try when I know I'm using a new word to just add it to the chat or put it somewhere where you can see it and keep a list, especially in this format, because realistically, let's say I had 100 people watching. Let's say, Faku, one day there are 100 people watching this broadcast and they're here chatting. I have to keep track of things somehow. There would just be too many questions to answer at one time. That's the difficulty. I've tried doing this. I did this on Aichi, and I think it was Xiaohongshu in China, Little Red Book, Xiaohongshu. And I loved it. We had 4,000 people for a few of my streams there, and it was just insane. I don't know how people who stream video games for their living keep up with all the people. It's amazing to me how they do it. Dicey is a good word. Dicey is a great, yeah, it's slang. It's still American slang, but I think most people who speak English, Canadians, Australians, British people, I think they understand the word dicey. It's a very common word nowadays. Let's see, their internet connection. Then some of them talked about loneliness. And again, in an English class, I thought that was interesting because I expected most students to get really excited about traveling and using English as a global language. Because again, English is becoming a global language for communication between many cultures and many people. Some people don't like that. They say, oh, it's linguistic imperialism. Those imperialists are destroying our native languages. Not necessarily. I don't think that's entirely true. I think you can learn a global language for trade and then use your native languages and everything's going to be okay, right? I think that's good. I think that's fine. But people have many different opinions on that. You don't hear like my listening, haha, Here, the listening is more fast and closed mouth. They're kind of talk like this and they're talking this way so that you don't see how they pronounce words. Is that what you mean? Because like recordings, a lot of recordings I've seen, and people who teach on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube, a lot of them talk like this. They talk in this way, and you can't see how they're forming words. I try to be. Some people say, "Well, your English teaching looks silly." Well, it's a class. One, it's supposed to be a little bit entertaining, so people actually pay attention to me. But it's important to see how the jaw moves, how the lips move, how the tongue moves. Again, the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, has technical reasons that we make these sounds in a technical way to understand them. Just watch how native English speakers speak. That's why also I have the video in a large screen format so you can very easily see the way I'm speaking. It helps a lot when you practice. I like saying the word conscious and conscience. Conscious, conscience. My mouth does something slightly different. Unit 1, Lesson 2, talk about verb to be underline the correct form. I get it. Yeah. It's and that's sort of how they train people for the IELTS and the TOEFL. And it's okay. It can be effective, but it's not always the most effective way of teaching people with different levels of English. We use the CEFR, Common European Framework. What does the R stand for? I always forget. Anyway, it's the European Framework for Language Learning. A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. I actually think it's A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, C1, C2. Anyway, beginner, intermediate, advanced. And when you're talking to people from many different English levels, which when you do this online in a broadcast, you're going to have many people from beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Some who'll understand every word, many who'll be somewhere in the middle and intermediate, they'll understand maybe 60 to 80%, and then you'll have lots of beginners who maybe understand 20% or less. So again, it's important to see how the pronunciation's happening and not to be too technical with the way you're speaking or teaching the language. Anyway, a lot of students talked about how they'd be lonely and they would lack long-term friendships. That was something I was curious about. People are worried about getting to know people around them. And when you travel a lot, your friends often change when you change to different locations. Sure, we can talk to each other online, but there's nothing like a face-to-face conversation. I mean, you can do a Zoom call. If you're lucky, your friend will FaceTime you, call you on Zoom, use WhatsApp, or you're in China, use WeChat to talk to you. So I think there are ways to combat loneliness. But again, some people want that face-to-face interaction, and if they don't have it, they're not happy. They're not content with the way things are going. My expected answer, ideal, exciting, the best way to travel while making money. Yes, being a digital nomad, you have a stable job, stable income, and you can make money to pay for where you're living. Something else that's interesting to do when you are working as a digital nomad is you can make money from the United States, and then you can move to a country where the United States currency is worth more. You can buy more with the US dollar, like in Argentina, Facu, right? The US dollar is worth a good bit right now, especially right now in Argentina, as the new president is beginning to work on the economy and everyone crosses their fingers that he does a good job and can make some changes because it would be fantastic. But here the teachers all pronounce different. Yeah, that's another problem. A lot of teachers, especially non-native English teachers, they have different ways of pronouncing words. And then I feel like the non-native teachers are always the worst with saying, no, it's said like this. You must say it this way. As a native speaker, I very rarely say something like that because English is an imperfect language in the end. There are standard ways of speaking, and that's generally what I teach. I'll teach you how to pronounce something as standard as possible. But remember, there are many different English dialects: British English, Australian English, Indian English, and then you have Northern accents, Southern accents, Midwestern accents, just in the United States. So again, the language, when it's spoken in the real world, is very much imperfect. It's not a perfect language. And it's important, we're speaking it regularly. It's important to hear it spoken as we actually speak it and not how a textbook would read it. That makes sense. I use translate because I need more words. Always good. When you're using translate, the word cloud method is a really good way to remember these. New president is a mystery. Exactly. I'm so excited for the possibility of this guy, but I don't know how he's going to be. My fingers are crossed because, again, Paku, I want Argentina to be what Argentina should be, what Argentina was in the 1980s when I was a kid. You have so many good things in Argentina. I almost moved and lived more permanently in Argentina. I wanted to move to Tigre. I love Tigre. Tigre is one of my favorite places in the entire world. I can sit by that river and drink coffee and take walks all day long, or take a kayak or a small rowboat out and paddle along the river. I love doing this. I have a teacher pronounce chocolate like chocolate. Yeah, some people, this is again where some TikTok, Instagram, YouTube teachers piss me off. They'll say, sound like a native. To sound like a native, you must say chocolate. It's chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. Chocolate is more British English than anything. Chocolate, chocolate. We don't often say chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. The O is usually silent. Chocolate, chocolate. 2 syllables. Chocolate. Chocolat. Chocolat. Is that French? I don't know. I'm not sure. No, you visit Mendoza, Cordoba. Yeah, Cordoba, of course, is the university city in Argentina. So lots of very smart people and lots of good bookstores. Yeah, lots of great culture. Yeah, absolutely. I have visited Mendoza and Cordoba, and I didn't spend enough time there. I would love to spend more time there and in Bariloche. Bariloche, I used to teach ski lessons. I taught ski lessons for 7 years. 2 of those years were full-time as a ski instructor, and I loved it. A lot of people would work in the United States for our winter season, and because the seasons are switched, are opposite in the southern hemisphere in Argentina, they would go for Argentina's winter and teach ski lessons in Bariloche. I wish I'd done that now. I was young, and it was my first time out of the country in 2007. I studied my first time in Argentina. The first time I ever left the United States was in 2007 when I studied at Fundación José Ortega y Gasset in Buenos Aires, around Calle, Florida. Another example of cafeteria and how you say coffee shop or coffee. Some people say coffee. Some say coffee, like in New York. Let me get a coffee. Coffee. Coffee shop. Coffee shop. The other word, often, is one that really gets to me. There are a lot of people who say, no, to sound like a native speaker, you must say often. It's often. I have never in my life said often consistently. I might say often when I'm being lazy with my language. I might say often if I, like my sinuses, if my allergies are bad and I'm sniffling all day, maybe I say often because I can't say my T's properly, but often is totally fine. It's very standard. The T is there. Often. Why not say it? Ski in Bariloche or Ushuaia or Mendoza. I'll do it all. I will come back to Argentina in a heartbeat and do it all. It's one of my plans. My wife, my kids, maybe alone, probably not. Probably with them. It should be fantastic. I would love it. One teacher said cafe. Oh, I've heard that. I've actually heard someone say cafe. And I don't remember where they were from and who it was. I feel like it was Chinese. Cafe. Awful. Terrible. Yeah. Often. I don't know which one you say. If you say the T, often, or if you say often, that's the word that, here's an idiom. That word burns my biscuits. I love this one. It burns my biscuits. This is very southern. It burns my biscuits. Again, my is sometimes pronounced as ma in the South and other dialects. Burns my biscuits. It burns my biscuits. It makes me a little mad, right? My biscuits are in the oven. I leave them in too long, they get too hot, burns my biscuits. I get angry, I get a little hot, it burns my biscuits. We practice more school student for pronounce S and E like at school. Don't do that. That is the #1 Spanish-speaking English mistake. At school. At school, space, what's another one? I can't even think. Eschew, anything. They always put that extra syllable, and you have to be very careful. Cookies and biscuits. That is British English. British English, biscuits. American cookies. American sweet cookies are generally biscuits in the United Kingdom. Biscuits in the US are made of flour. They're light and fluffy. We eat them for breakfast often, like a chicken biscuit is fantastic. You visit the US. If you visit the American South, I don't know, North Carolina, Virginia down to Florida, and then westward to Texas, a biscuit will be your best friend. They are so good. So good. We repeat school, student, study, star, haha. This is something too that in China was really common. School, student, study, star. Again, these are non-standard things. They work. What is something I wrote down from this week? I wrote just some notes. Looked like, what did I say? Like to say the word thorough, things like that. So things like that can work. Or even that stupid Pineapple Pen song that's on TikTok. That PPAP guy. PPAP, do, 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 do. I have a pen. I have a pineapple. Apple pen. That is how English is taught in some places in Asia. It's awful. Awful. Ustedes, yours. Yeah. Yours. Or you alls would actually be good. We would often say you all. You know pineapple. You know those, right? So I figured you might. You all is ustedes in general. And the South will say y'alls. Y'alls. Which is, again, a very Southern thing. Some people say that's not real English. Sure it is. People in the South, every day, all day. Y'all, what y'all doing over there? What are you all doing? Hey, you all. Hey, y'all. Hey, you, singular. Hey, you all of you. And it's not so the formality of usted. We don't really have a word for a formal you. It's just you. But ustedes, y'all. Yours have big breakfast. You all. So it'd be like you all have. Let me put this in a real sentence. Do you all, ustedes, do you all, ustedes, always have a big, breakfast? Something like this would be best. Do you all always have a big breakfast? And you can leave off do if your inflection is right. If you say, you all always have a big breakfast, it's a question tone. The intonation, you all always have a big breakfast. The breakfast, the last word kind of has an upward tone. Breakfast, it implies a question. Do is the question word. Do you all always have a big breakfast? You all always have a big breakfast? From the South, y'all always have a big breakfast? So you can hear the tone. It'll let you know if it's a question as well. Those are 3 very much fine ways to say it. You're always like, tu ustedes, but I understand. Okay. Yeah, in general, the ustedes, we don't have exactly in English, but you all works very well for ustedes. Again, minus the formality. It's informal. We don't have a formal you. Not really. Let's see. The answers of the week. Unstable, uncertain, my dream. All those are self-explanatory. This was the last thing I had for the Twitch-based English Roundup English lesson we had this week. Faku, what else can I tell you? If you have one more question, I'll take one more question before I head on for the evening. I don't know how long these are going to be in the future in general, but let's see what my Twitch, what is Twitch saying my time is on this one? Okay. 1 hour 18. I went for an hour. I knew I was going to talk way too long, but that's good. That's all good. Anyway, I want to do this every week and just do Sunday evening class weekly roundup, today's date, this sort of thing. I like it. Here, you all is like, is this a real question for me? What is my dream? I mean, if to be honest with you, you're going to think this is corny, cheesy, and marketing. It's not. I really would love to have a very large English community with English at the ready, with this Twitch stream. I don't care where the community is based. It can be here, it can be there. I would love to have just a very good group of people talking to each other, asking questions, and building their fluency with English. It's something I really care about because I know how hard it is for me at 41 to learn Spanish, to learn Chinese. I need non-traditional lessons, right? I like to watch video game streamers. We play video games on Friday and Saturday nights just for fun because, again, my story at the beginning of this broadcast was about, in high school, I had a television show on the local school channel, and I learned so much about broadcasting that I haven't been able to practice it in a long time. But something like Twitch and playing games and talking to people is something I would have loved 22 years ago when I was in high school. I would have loved it. So this is something that I think is just a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And this broadcast is something, yeah, my dream is that this becomes a thing. It's enjoyable and people build cultures. We answer hard questions, have some good discussions, and people learn more about each other. I said earlier too, my non-PC answer is the more people know about each other, the less they want to kill each other, right? My master's from Drexel University was in global education, which was more of a focus on policy, education policy, and peace studies, which is building bridges between cultures. And this sort of thing is something that just, I know it works. It worked in China, it was fantastic, and I really think it's something that can work in a Twitch format or in another online format similar to this. I recommend you in my city because you were a different teacher. So much appreciated, Baku. I really, really, really appreciate you doing that. I'm going to start putting more content, probably on my YouTube, on the Instagram. I think all the social media links should still be active on my Twitch profile. So feel free to check there. That way, because we need more security, fantastic. But you learn more Spanish, haha, I will. Vamos a intentar, no, vamos. Voy a intentar. Voy a intentar. I'm going to try. I want to try. I will try. Voy a intentar. I will try. I need to practice. It's just not as easy as it used to be because I don't use it often. You have your working memory, and that's why hearing English like this, immersing yourself in a language helps a lot. Is the more you hear it, the more it stays in the forefront of your mind, so it's easier to speak it. You stop thinking in your native language and translating to English. You stop using the translator as much and you just speak English, right? Like children, they learn words and associate it with objects. Like my 6-month-old daughter, I'm already trying to get her to remember different words like shoe, right? This is a shoe. Could be la chancla, watch out. It could be a chancla, but a shoe, and then zapato, right? Zapato. Kids learn by associations just like that. As adults, we think about things a lot more, we worry about things a lot more, and that makes it more difficult for us to learn these. Whereas yo practicar mirame a mí que escribí sin traductor toda la noche. Fantástico. It's what I used to do too. I used to use a translator to learn new words and then try my hardest to actually writing a post-it note, little yellow piece of paper with a sticky backside, to put a little sticky note on everything around your house with vocabulary. And every time you turn off the light switch, you have the word for light switch, and then you have the verb, phrasal verb, turn off, turn on. And you think, turn off. Okay, turn off light switch. Good. Turn on light switch. Good. And you see this every day for a week, and you say it every time you do it, you will start to remember it. It does work. My first English class was when I was 6 years old, and we played bingo with objects, which is good for a 6-year-old. But you tell me, have you ever had a teacher as an adult or a college student come into a class and have you play bingo with objects? I was told to do this at a training center in Argentina, and at one in Buenos Aires, and one in China. I'll never forget it. They wanted me to play bingo with the adults, and I looked at them like they were craziest. They're not preschool students. These are adults with like real jobs, real brains. They're pretty smart people. They're just trying to learn English. They're not trying to play bingo. They're not trying to pay $1,000 for a month and just play bingo with the teacher. Come on. Come on. But Faku, I think I need to end it here and get on with my Sunday night. This has been fun. I'm so glad you were here. It's great. It's really energizing to see someone come in who is not already a follower or like a friend or what have you. You and Lizzie Lou. I'm glad you both stopped in. I'm glad you're both watching. And I'm glad this was good for you. Again, it gives me a good reason to come back and do it next week. Hey, you're so welcome, my friend. And telling other people, that's how it starts. Word of mouth. I appreciate you. Faku, take care of yourself. Man, my Spanish, I just dropped it. I was going to say something. Hasta luego. No, I was going to say something more idiomatic. Whatever. Faku, take care of yourself. I'll catch you again next weekend. Always send some messages in chat or ask questions. Join the Discord. It's always on. And you can ask questions there. I'm trying to also build out the Discord a bit to work along with this English content related stream. Good night, teacher. Buenos noches. Buenos noches. Buenos noches, amigo. Adios. See you soon. See you next time. Check out my leader video here. I'll play this one more time just for you. You may recognize some of these things. It also proves that I actually lived in Buenos Aires.